Let's be clear about one thing. Your corporate website, it isn't just a brochure. It's a live, regulated perimeter. And for any boardroom in the UAE, getting this distinction right is now a matter of commercial survival and, frankly, personal liability.
So, what are the stakes? Well, let's start with the financial reality. IBM's latest report puts the average cost of a data breach right here in the Middle East at a staggering 27 million Saudi riyals.
But here's the thing. The biggest cost driver isn't actually the breach itself. No, it's measured in something far more valuable: time.
Operating with a passive, wait-and-see security model, that's not just a bad strategy anymore. It's a fundamental accounting error. It's miscalculating risk right on your balance sheet. And this right here just drives that point home. Look at the numbers. If you can contain a breach in under 200 days, you're looking at saving, on average, over $1 million US. Speed isn't just a technical goal, it's a financial imperative. So, the natural question is, where does all this expensive delay actually come from? Well, more often than not, it stems from a place many overlook: the vendor liability gap. See, the most catastrophic failures, they don't usually start with some kind of Hollywood-style hacking scene. Nope, they start with something much simpler: simple negligence. We're talking vendor shortcuts, basic misconfigurations, maybe even just borrowed code. And the data here is, well, it's really telling. Just look, right here in this region, the single most common way breaches start, it's through third-party and supply chain compromise.
This brings us to a really crucial point. When you bring a vendor on board, you're not inheriting their security. Let me say that again. You're not inheriting their security. You are inheriting their liability.
And it's important to understand that this liability, it doesn't just exist in some kind of commercial vacuum. Here in the UAE, it sits inside a very clearly defined and very regulated perimeter.
There are two key pieces of legislation you absolutely need to know about: the UAE's Personal Data Protection Law and the Federal Cybercrimes Law.
And what these legal frameworks do is make it explicit. The accountability has now shifted. It's moved from being purely corporate to being individual. For executives, personal liability isn't some theoretical risk anymore. It's real.
So what's the answer? Well, the required response isn't about buying another product. It's about making a fundamental strategic shift, a shift towards a legally defensible posture.
And you achieve this through something called active cyber defense. Now, this is an approach that stops just trying to block attacks at the front door. Instead, you instrument your perimeter to actively mislead attackers, to detect them earlier, and most importantly, to learn from everything they do. At AELION, our protocol for this is executed in two core phases. First, we focus on infrastructure hardening, getting rid of all those simple shortcuts. And second, we deploy path deception, which is all about harvesting valuable intelligence. Think of it like this. Path deception turns your perimeter from a simple, static wall into a controlled minefield. The attacker thinks they're mapping out your weaknesses, but what they're actually doing is revealing their own methods, their own tradecraft directly to you. So what's the outcome for the boardroom? Well, it really boils down to three things. First, you get hard evidence for regulators. Second, you get the speed you need to contain a breach. And third, you get to take back control of the narrative. Look, this isn't simply an IT decision. This is a governance decision. And that's why the initiation of the AELION Protocol requires complete executive-level alignment.